So hey guys, welcome to our review of Batman Arkham City Unhinged, issue number 2. In the last issue of Batman Arkham City Unhinged, we had a backstory to the reason why Two-Face and Catwoman basically don't like each other and they have a grudge against each other, as we see in the game, and we basically get the reason for that in the last issue. Now, for people who are still newcomers to this, Batman Arkham City Unhinged is basically a digital comic series that was only supposed to go digital. You know, there was no printed copies whatsoever, but now we do get printed copies. Now, the printed copies collect at least 3 stories per issue. And yeah, basically these 3 storylines are basically different. They're not, you know, coincide with the last issue. Maybe they have some minor connections, but not a whole lot. They're just a whole new different backstory for each, event that's going in, Arkham City, like backstory for some villains or, explanation for some things. And also, if you haven't read, like, the logs in the Batman Arkham City game, then, they collect those storylines also in this comic. But yeah, so in today's issue, basically we see Batman and Commissioner Gordon, who we don't see a whole lot in Arkham City until the end of the game. We do get some log reads of him and whatnot, but we don't actually see him in the game till the end of Arkham City. But yeah, but it's nice to see him in this comic. Basically, Batman and Commissioner Gordon are having their, of course, routine talk on the rooftop, just having a minor chat about things and what's going on right now. They start off their chat about talking about Hugo Strange and how he came to, be this, the warden of Arkham City. They talk about him, how he used to be a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, and then he built his way up by using, the villains in there and whatnots, and getting his way into, Mayor Quincy Sharp, and using him so that he could, be the warden of Arkham City, so he can be in control of the villains and that, and that whole entire prison cells and whatever. Yeah, that's just basically the first part. And later on, Batman talks about how, Catwoman and Two-Face were the last 2 known villains that were supposed to get captured by Hugo and thrown into Arkham City, and they finally did get captured in the last issue. So that's, like I said, they're a little bit minor connections to the other issues. But yeah, so Batman did try to rescue Two-Face and Catwoman from, the custodies of Hugo Strange, because, of course, Batman believes that, okay, they should go to Arkham Asylum. They shouldn't... Why does the Tiger Guards have to take it into their own hands to capture, these villains or, these criminals? Why do they have to do it? You got me already. I'm Batman. I bring justice. Why? Because he doesn't trust Hugo Strange. So, and he doesn't like Arkham City all that well, as we already know this. So he does try to, rescue them, or try to stop the Tiger Guards from, arresting them, but he fails because they actually start firing at his Batwing, and he actually goes down and the Batwing explodes, and, he escapes, leaving no traces left behind, and that's basically it. Then Batman goes along talking about the events that happened when he was trying to infiltrate Mayor Quincy Sharp's office and try to find information on Hugo Strange, but he couldn't. And later on, he was being pursued by the Tiger Guards. And later on, he found some shelter at this not abandoned, but a closed down electronics store. And then later on, Hugo Strange greets him, and then later on, Batman sort of pisses Hugo Strange off, and he calls his Tiger Guards to his location, and Batman basically sprays some, explosive gel to, get rid of them. But in the end, they catch him in a rooftop, but he escapes. But what happens is that while he escapes, he's actually hanging underneath a helicopter with Vicky Vale there and whatnot, and the Tiger Guards, of course, Hugo Strange tells him, don't, once you see Batman, just fire away. Who cares who's around? Just kill him. So they fire away, and basically they shoot down the pilot of the helicopter. The helicopter goes down, but Vicky Vale and the other guy that's in the helicopter is actually saved. So afterwards, after that talk, they basically talk about how much power Hugo Strange has, and how Commissioner Gordon has tried to, talk to Quincy Sharp, try to fight against Arkham City, and it has been mentioned in the game through the logs that one of the logs is called Gordon versus Sharp. So basically, Commissioner Gordon did try to talk to Quincy Sharp, but they were all at each other's throats, but he could never win. And in the end, basically, he had to succumb to Quincy Sharp, and he couldn't do anything. And he feels like he's been like decommissioned, and because they've thrown paperwork at him, he can't really do nothing. And yeah, and then now it's, Batman says it's up to him, that he's the only person that can actually save, Gotham City and Arkham City. And it's time for him to take it to, into his own hands to stop Hugo Strange, because Hugo Strange has too much power right now. And generally speaking, he is, of course, gathering, other heroes like Robin, Nightwing, and Oracle to help him stop Hugo. And yeah, that's how the issue ends. And it says to be continued, so the storyline is going to be continued through issue number 3, I guess. Or it's just to be continued in the next issue with more storylines, but who knows? Because I don't read the digital comics. But let's talk about this issue for a moment. Though there is not a lot of action in this issue, and technically, like I said, Arkham City Unhinged is basically, 3 separate stories collected together, which really don't have any sort of continuity towards it besides relating it to the game and giving backstory to some characters, explaining some events and whatnots. So technically, you don't really have to get the issues if you really don't feel like it. But, if you're interested and, you want to figure out some reasoning behind what's going on in Arkham City, or you don't feel like reading the logs in the game, then like I said, you should pick this issue up, or pick up the Unhinged, or Batman Arkham City Unhinged comics. But all in all, I felt this issue, due to the fact that it was there's a lot of dialogue, because it's just Batman and Commissioner Gordon talking. I felt like it was a breath of fresh air, because look at all these Batman comic books that I've been reviewing. 3 Batman comic books I reviewed this week, and there was a lot of action, and it just dealt with the Night of Owl series, and it's just a breath of fresh air just to read something that's different with Batman, Like Detective Comics was dealing with the Night of Owl series, Batgirl, Batman, Robin, and even the Batman storyline is still going on with the Night of Owl series. So, it's just a breath of fresh air to pick this issue up just for Batman fans, just to read something that you're interested in. And I mean, it's wordy, but it does get interesting because, who doesn't like Commissioner Gordon and Batman talking to one another? I do like it. I mean, I find them talking together is like a sort of a sense that, they're friends, Commissioner Gordon considers Batman as a friend, and Batman considers Commissioner Gordon as friends, just seeing that, interaction with one another. I do like that, kind of sense whenever I see Commissioner Gordon and Batman together. I really love those moments when they're just standing at the rooftop, just chilling and, talking to one another, giving each other information. And yeah, though, like I said, there's not a lot of action. The art does change from the first issue. Like I said, these are digital comics, so technically they have different artists probably for different storylines. The art, for matter of fact, I did think it was okay. Near the ending, I did have a minor gripe with Nightwing's design and Robin's design, because, well, Robin as in Tim Drake Robin. I never really liked his, new look in Arkham City. I didn't like the bald head shaved look. I mean, if it was for Damian Wayne, I would have gave it a thumbs up. But if it was for Tim Drake, I felt like it was kind of like a so-so, because looking at Tim Drake with a bald head or like, a military, shave, it just felt kind of off-putting to me. And when he was designed in this comic, he really looked like an old man. Like, those really old men with a shaved bald head. He looked like that, and his body was just too bulky and too big. I always, imagined him, a bit more slimmer. Though in the game he is a bit slimmer and maybe sort of bulky at the same time, but still, he's still slim. But in this comic, he makes his chest size really humongous. And Nightwing's hair is really sloppy. Like, it's just like, I don't know, so I feel like it's all gathered together, and like you don't see like the separate lines that separates his hair, and it doesn't seem like it fits with the design that they have for him in the game, because his hair actually goes sideways and you can see the separate hairlines and whatnot. And his mask, it has a red, the red, eyepiece, which is fine, but still I didn't like to hear it, but that's just minor gripes. The issue was pretty good. I would suggest you guys pick this issue up. I mean, you guys don't have to. You know, I wouldn't say I recommend it. I mean, I would say just pick the issue up if you guys are interested. You guys technically don't have to, but it's still a good issue to read, just to tell you guys that. It's your decision whether or not you want to pick it up. You know, just saying. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked this review and found it helpful, and I'll talk to you guys later. So, see you guys.